I'm CraigO, and join me on my adventures with CraigO's cryptocurrency as we cover the blockchain, Web3, NFT, and cryptocurrency technologies. Interviewing the best in the industry, giving tips and tricks, and also sharing with you projects that I'm most excited about.
You're tuning into CraigO's Crypto Corner, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technology. Great reviews, incredible interviews with the leading people in the Web3 ethos, and just the general things Web3. Really excited about today's episode. I want to thank everyone who's tuning in on Twitter Spaces, Facebook, and YouTube. We like to go crossway on content on all social media platforms. Joined by my amazing, handsome co-host, Mr. MetaMatt. What's up?
How we doing? I love the studio view.
Fired up. This is going to be a great episode today. We're going to do the NFTGo annual report review. I'm going to talk about some of the things that we're going to do. But before we do that, every week, guys, we come in with our daily, weekly Ralpha update. Daily Ralpha. What's up, Ralph?
What is up, Craig? What's up, Matt? How are you guys doing? Loving the new studio views. And I noticed that you guys swapped seats. So always keeping it fresh. I love it.
We did. And by the way, we have Alpha Infinite Curiosity. And I want to know, out of all the things that you could pick, what do you have for us this week that everyone needs to know and keep an eye on?
Oh, there was so much stuff going on that we could probably turn this segment into an entire show today, but I tried really hard to keep it down to just three things I want to talk about. The first thing is Blur. Like, everybody's eyes are on Blur right now. It's been the talk of the town. They crossed $100 million in 24-hour volume earlier this week, which is a huge milestone. That actually drove more volume than we had during Yuga's other side sale last year. So that's impressive in its own right. There's a lot of farming going on right now after they announced the season 2 drop details yesterday. But it's exciting to see how much activity is going on in Blur right now, and they've really displaced OpenSea. I think OpenSea has a problem on their hands. As you know, they reduced their royalty rate or their platform fees to zero for temporarily. I think that they're probably having a lot of meetings right now talking about doing some kind of an airdrop, playing a lot more defense than they're doing right now. But I think it's impressive. I mean, even yesterday, 99 of the top 100 sales of the day were all Bored Apes, and we're almost all transacted through Blur, which is incredible.
That platform is quite impressive. I mean, I've been sticking to the old grounds of OpenSea, and they introduced some new information which created some disappointment. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
About what in particular?
So I believe that OpenSea announced that royalties are optional on their platform, if I read quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best look on them right now, and there's definitely a royalty issue going on. I'm more interested, like, rather than harping on that, I think that a good topic for a future episode would be how Blur's looking at it. I think that being able to reward artists with tokens on marketplaces could potentially be a good alternative to royalties. I'm pro royalty, you know that. We've had that discussion before, but everything that's going on with Blur right now is opening my eyes up to a world of possibilities that, they're being very innovative around.
Yeah, I find that royalties are a utility to the founders and the creators of a project, and it's part of the income stream to create a healthy ecosystem. What are the things you have for us, Ralph?
Couple of other interesting things. Puma dropping today. I think it'll do well. I'm not personally going in. Of course, those are going to be famous last words, as I've had many of those before. I don't particularly like the art. I think it's expensive. I think it's a little tone deaf for kind of the market conditions that we're experiencing right now. And honestly, the art looks like it's a knockoff between Chester Cheetah and the Pink Panther. So, but like I said, I've been wrong on art before. There have been projects where I've absolutely hated the art, and they've gone off to do multiple ETH in volume. So, I don't know, but that's something that I'm keeping a close eye on today, paying a lot of attention to what's going on. And then the last thing that I wanted to chat about today was the cancellation of Proof of Conference and the Friendlies rug, right? I brought those and kind of bucketed them in the same category for two reasons. One, you have to do a lot of research. You have to pay attention to what teams are doing and teams are saying, and not necessarily just blindly follow influencers around, because a lot of times you may be disappointed. I have a lot of things to say about Proof of Conference. I think it was a huge fail that they canceled that. Despite the fact, look, I get that from a business decision perspective, it was the right thing to do. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman. I've run large corporations before, so I get it. The thing is that they actually had sold a fair amount of tickets. Maybe not what they wanted to, but they had. I think it would have been a great opportunity to pivot, do a smaller type of event, maybe just for those holders. I mean, they've already proven that they're ultra passionate by buying a ticket that was expensive. I believe that the entry price for the tickets was at like 0.7 ETH. I think it was a huge missed opportunity, even if it meant that they would have to subsidize part of it. I mean, for God's sakes, they raised $60 million from VC funds. They could have easily subsidized at least a little part of it. Yeah, would they have lost some deposits and stuff like that? Sure. But I think that they could have done a much better job. I think, they announced today that they're forming a community council. I applaud that. I think projects with community councils and community input are important. I think it's a little too late, and they've been teasing this other announcement that's going to revolutionize what they're doing. I just think that the timing of all this thing was off. I'm not particularly thrilled right now with the way that it's been handled.
It goes back to that storybook sizzle, right? You create the hype and then you deliver. I mean, one of the exciting things is today in our StreamYard, we're going to talk to Amanda Terry, who's one of the co-founders of On-Chain Monkey, which is a great 10K PFP collection, something that I've been very excited about. But it's interesting. I wonder from their end, whether it's Danny or Amanda, if when they see, I don't say shortcomings, right? Not failures, but shortcomings of others that don't deliver on something they say they're going to do, do they take, side notes and be like, okay, these are things that we need to make sure that don't happen to our community, because when it does, it's the word FUD, the bad news, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I love those 3 updates from you, Ralph. I know that you're going to stick in here whenever you have to head out. Absolutely. Always throw your hand up, because you always have great value to add. Want to go into our show today. A couple things that I want to just let everybody know that we're going to talk about before we bring Amanda and Danny on. Really honored to have them in our space as well today. Special guests, along with my good friend Cade from the Joyage Kingdom, another incredible podcaster in the space. All right, so here's the things that we're going to cover. I'm going to cover a quote, and this is all from NFTGo. It's about 180 some odd pages. I hope I'm correct on that number. I went through it as much as I could, and what I wanted to do was find the value snippets to bring you guys some really great value, along with my co-host. I know you probably dived in just a little bit. I maybe dived in a little more last night, and I went to sleep a little late. Wife looks at me, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm getting ready for tomorrow. So we're going to talk about the timeline of NFTs, marketplaces. Also, our special guest we just mentioned, Creative Commons license. What does that mean? On-Chain Monkeys has one of the most expansive licenses in the NFT space. There's a lot that you can do, and there's certain things that you need to get permission for, and I think that's incredibly important. Talk about Starbucks, the Howey test, Polygon, a little bit about wash trading, generative art, utility NFTs. I want to also give a Rug Radio mention to Farouk. Big props to him. Crypto NFT relationships, blue chips, assets per capita, and NFT safe haven assets. We're also going to get a Pennybois update from my good friend MetaMatt. Market liquidity, whale tracking, whale qualifications, whale strategy, tracking whole whale wallets. And I think that was important, because I said, well, how can it relate to people that don't have $1.25 million worth of Ethereum and NFTs? Because that's what it is to consider to be a whale in this space. Top investment categories, and then maybe just a few NFTGo 2023 predictions. I left a few of them out on purpose, and we're going to get right to it. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to just give a quick quote, and I'm just going to cue that up real quick. Bergmann is a huge Yuga Labs fan, and of course, they are completely there's completely very little on the roadmap 2.0. So he expects a 2023 and the launch of the other side to have a huge impact on the space and the coverage of the space itself. Beyond that, the projects that focus on additional resources and revenue. I'm going to that in just a second. There we go. There's a screen share. Sorry about that. Let me come back to that. He is very bullish on Dust Labs becoming SaaS, is very bullish on DGods and the Utes community. And we had on last week Kevin DeGod. So that was a great conversation with Kevin. And we talked to him about a lot of what they're doing in the space. So it's really great to see that. And now let's bring in Amanda Terry from On-Chain Monkeys. Meta Good, how you doing?
Hey, great. Thanks, Craig. Super excited to be here today.
I'm you know, you guys
Danny's also in, right? Okay, great. All right. Sure, we should both be in. Awesome.
Yep. Can Danny come up? We're trying to get him in real quick.
It says that. Oh, there he is.
There he is. Hi, Danny.
Hey, Jam.
Morning. MPM.
He's in the
By the way,
banana.
Craig, I love the hat. And is that a hoodie behind you or a t-shirt? It's looking good. Looking good.
Yeah, no, we have this in, every episode. And one of the things that's really important to me is a community that is steadfast and really engages. And the iRise for me, I actually apply it in a lot of different parts of my life. I was talking to Stephen Miller before I came on, and how important iRise is and what it represents, not just as the battle cry, but how you can apply it to other parts of your life and what that does for community cohesiveness. Now, obviously, I have you both in to talk about ordinals and the breakthrough. And maybe I just want to shoot this to Danny. And Danny, I know it's maybe a little more tech. When I first heard about, wait a minute, so there's this, we have our Genesis collection now. By owning one OCM Genesis, I can now bring that over, or I own an ordinal on the Bitcoin blockchain. What does that even mean for people outside that probably aren't tuning in on Twitter Spaces all the time?
Sure. Sure. So an ordinal is kind of like an NFT on Bitcoin, you could say. So ordinals are it's a new protocol called the Ordinals protocol that lets you track ownership of particular data that's written onto the Bitcoin blockchain. So ordinals is very much about on-chain digital assets. So you can, they call them inscriptions. So you can actually inscribe whatever you want that fits inside of a transaction in a block. And then you have a pointer to it, which is the kind of the ordinal that marks who owns that particular piece of data on chain, or which is kind of like an NFT. So it's kind of like ordinals are on-chain NFTs on the Bitcoin blockchain.
Okay, no, that's great. And I was actually going to queue up a screen share in a second just to show that, as we progress further into this year, and NFTGo report says, hey, we might have a bull run. My thing is, I like to be a part of communities, and I'm going to throw this to you, Amanda. I want to be a part of community that really engages with one another, whether it's IRL events, whether it's merchandise. I want to talk about the fungible banana economy in the iRise, and how now we've got a 6x multiplier. And so actually on my Craig Oshrin account, I actually hooked that up into my platform, so that way I can start getting rewarded more bananas. Why don't we talk about the fungible side of things and get a little more, a little away from the tech? And Danny, that was a great answer, because now I'm going to go back and listen to that and be like, okay, I conceptually get what you're saying. So talk to us a little bit about the bananas, Amanda.
Sure. I mean, On-Chain Monkey has always been about innovation. So as you know, we were the first profile pic collection all on chain in a single Ethereum transaction in September 2021. February 9th, we were the first 10,000 collection on Bitcoin. And another super innovative feature that we launched a few months after our Genesis collection launch was our fungible token. So we were the first NFT collection to actually integrate Twitter and Discord. So if you own an On-Chain Monkey and you connect your wallet to our onchainmonkey.com website, if you're active in our Twitter or active in our Discord and people are typing RISE, which stands for respect, integrity, sustainability, and enrichment, you can start earning bananas. There's been about 1 million bananas mined to date, and people use them for things like buying merch. Like this hat is 100 bananas. People use them in a banana auction to get spots to go to a NASCAR VIP pit, get VIP pit passes for a NASCAR race. People have started transacting with them for NFTs. People get, creative services. People have done Twitter banners, et cetera, and gotten paid in bananas. And so it's really our currency in our Monkeyverse. And currently they're off chain, but those bananas tokens will go on chain. So think ApeCoin. So that's why so many people, as you mentioned, we're thrilled. We just created an AI PFP detection tool, so we can tell if people change their profile pic to their Genesis or their Karma Monkey. And if you change your profile pic over the next month, as you said, you'll get 6 times the bananas if it's a Genesis PFP, 2 times the bananas if it's a Karma PFP. And similarly, when we do issue these tokens on chain, there'll be a higher percentage or higher multiplier for those that own a Genesis OCM.
I love that. And the reason that I find what you guys are doing is so powerful, and Danny, your talent and skill set that has lent to actually doing the technology. The first, as you had mentioned, Amanda, this was the first 10K collection launched on chain in one transaction. I believe it was 0.75 Ethereum. I could be wrong. That to me is so impressive that you were able to do that with the technology. And when people look at the Genesis, to me, that is the OG of the space. And now to bring over to Bitcoin and introduce this ordinal into the ecosystem really has me excited. And I believe that the word hodl for me is really important for the years to come, because I don't get in things to get out. I'm not a trader. I don't want to play with that liquidity, but long term, I want to build alongside of great people. And it really has been an honor to have you on. Danny, I want to just pose one more question to you, and just to ask, do you think in the next quarter there are going to be some really unique surprises with not just being able to, because you talked about this in a space specifically, and then we'll move on from this. You spoke in a space specifically, and you said that if you get it over into ordinal, stay put. Don't move around. Be safe. Don't lose your stuff, because this is still a very risky space between being scammed and then getting hacked. Any advice on just hold it, keep on Ethereum, don't try to make it over to ordinal right now? What's your suggestion?
Well, I think it's good to play with ordinals, but just be very careful. I mean, it's a new protocol, very young, and the tools are being built out really quickly, but they are still the first versions, MVPs. But we're all excited. Well, the reason we're all excited by ordinals on Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is a much bigger, higher market cap chain. It's the biggest one, right, of all blockchains. And we see on Ethereum how big the NFT market is there, right? I mean, in terms of gas fees paid, I think in the top 3, 2 of them are NFT marketplaces, right? Blur and OpenSea, right? So it's a big part of Ethereum. And Bitcoin right now, it's pretty much non-existent, but it's growing, right? Ordinals is just starting on Bitcoin, and so we'll see a lot more activity. There's a lot of room to grow for NFTs or ordinals on Bitcoin. So that's why we're all excited by this, and that's why so many people are building new tools and explorers, wallets, marketplaces, you name it. They're all being built out right now.
Well, Danny and Amanda, thank you guys so much for coming on. If you're not following, and I like to say the engage button, please go engage with On-Chain Monkey, doing some incredible things in the space. Danny and Amanda, it's been an honor having you in here. And what I'd like to do in the coming months is create a time for a fireside chat so we can dive in deep on the entire ecosystem and all the incredible things that you're doing.
Sounds great. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Our honor, our pleasure. And we're going to keep our conversation today moving. And actually, what we're going to do before we bring Cade on, Cade, we're going to bring you up shortly. But before, I just want to talk a little bit about the NFTGo report. And one of the things that in this 150 page plus report, and we're going to share their Twitter page, is pages 28 through 31 literally gave you a timeline of the development of NFTs overall and their evolution. And that was 4 pages, and the timeline was something, it sort of was like, dinosaurs, how dinosaurs came in and then extinct. They literally locked in everything. The research and the due diligence of this report, the first thing I'm going to say, was just incredibly powerful. Now, another thing that I want to talk about before we bring Cade on is I am a big fan of OpenSea, and when Ralph came on, we talked about some of the concerns. Now, everybody's making it optional as far as with royalties, and you're looking at Blur playing with they're having the ability for you to grab tokens if you're trading, and those who initially launched off, and Ralph, if you have a thought on this, when they initially launched off, anybody in America who was claiming they had to have a VPN. So now maybe that's become a little more accessible, but the amount of volume that they're they're doing, the trades, and just as Ralph had mentioned before, the apes that were getting transacted yesterday. So they have a really incredible strategy. It's sort of like an old 80s vibe, sort of like an Atari vibe on their platform. I think user interface for me is incredibly important. But I'll probably dive in at some point. So it's just really cool to see. And what I want to do is I want to get Cade on from the Joyage Kingdom. If we can just have him come up real quick.
Yo.
What's up, buddy? How you doing? GM.
Yo, good morning, fam. It's been a great start. It was cool to see Danny, or both the founders actually of On-Chain Monkey come up and chat for a little bit. So hell yeah, man. I'm excited.
You know, I'm going to throw a couple really good questions at you. And before we do, I want to do, Tony, a quick screen share. Thank you, my friend. So that is us up on the screen right there. We had a great event, and just to have you in here today to discuss and unpack a couple things. So I just want to throw it right to you. Here it goes. From your angle, what is the theme for NFTs going to be for the rest of 2023?
So towards the end of 2021, I made a prediction that turned out to be somewhat accurate. I basically said I think artists are going to be, without a doubt, the biggest hitters in 2022, and then we saw the rise of like some of the biggest projects like Invisible Friends, but we also see companies like Instagram partnering up with tons of artists, and a lot of companies choosing to just roll with artists. I think maybe because it was a little bit less risky, because they were like, look, these guys and girls are super authentic. They're sharing their art. And it was one of like the strongest holes that I think NFTs has is the art. So that was the prediction a year and a half ago or whatever it was. For 2023, I mean, we saw the other side drop. We have some of the biggest hitters in the game, like Gabriel Layden, like Elio Trades, and they're all in charge of the gaming projects. I don't know if I hope it'll be 2023. I don't know if they're all going to be ready by 2023, but I think there's going to be some narratives and some pushes and some hype cycles that we go through. And I think they're going to center around gaming just because some of those founders are really, really good at hyping this shit up, and we're really, really good at eating that shit up.
I like that. And I would agree. The social economy is everything. How long can you hold someone's attention for before you lose them? And can you take that run up? And then can you leave someone else to potentially hold the bags? Again, I'm a hodler. I'm not a trader. I want to throw one last question to you, right? What is the company for 2023 that you're most excited by entering the Web3 arena?
Dude, I have a video coming out on this soon, but I really, really think it's the UFC. I've been watching the UFC over the past couple years, and I have not seen anything like it. And I feel like they're pioneering the way of building a decentralized out ecosystem. And the way they've done it with all their athletes, it is the coolest thing ever. I'm really excited for that video. But I do think when the UFC comes in, at least they have the chance to do something really cool. I think they have a really unique brand. Obviously, some things in the more recent news has been kind of effed, but I still think UFC's got a decentralized model that'll work really well. And I'm very interested to see what happens when they come in, because I think they're going to be the most successful company.
I love that. Cade, it's been awesome having you here. You're a co-host on that Twitter Spaces. Let's engage it. Let's continue to build our platforms together, because in this space, that's what we do, and we do it well. I want to bring Ralph Quintero up really quickly because I want to talk to him about Creative Commons license. Now, On-Chain Monkeys has one of the most expansive licenses in the space. Let's talk about as it compares to Moonbirds when you think about licensing. And let me just throw this out to you. CryptoPunks. We see a lot of copycat collections. No disrespect to any of those. I actually own a couple punks that are not CryptoPunk smart contracts. So I can't make that money. Can't fool them on the smart contract. And what are your thoughts around Creative Commons license?
Look, there's a place for them. And I think you could get very creative with them, but I also think that it limits collectors' ability to really leverage the IP of whatever asset it is that they're buying. Craig, that my wife is an artist and she licenses her designs to fabric manufacturers. I can't imagine, her business model under like a CCO kind of licensing world. So I do think that it has its place. I think that, I mentioned earlier when we were talking about Moonbirds and the cancellation of Proof of Conference that they've had a lot of missteps. I think switching over to CCO was a huge misstep for them. They didn't talk to anybody in their community. As well as I do, and I know several people in here have been on spaces where I've talked about this, that there were several licensing deals already in play when they made that decision. So they had community members that were already working on 6-figure licensing deals, and all of those fell through because of their decision. So, I think that a lot of project owners have to pay a lot of attention to what they want to do in terms of IP licensing and set those ground rules right from day one, and not be messing around with it back and forth throughout the life cycle of a project.
I agree. My take on it, and then Matt, I want to hear yours, but my take on it is when you do that and you're a big collection, the problem is that you're going to have already people doing derivatives, right? So you want your community doing derivatives, honoring and respecting it. We see it with Dario De Siena doing with On-Chain Monkey and doing some really awesome derivatives, but it's very clear on the intention to support the community.
Correct.
Now in the way of branding is for products and services, and you and I talk a lot about it. And by the way, anybody who's not subscribed on the Daily Ralpha, and Tony, I know I keep saying screen share, we're doing the hand signals like we're going to do this and that. Tony, I'm getting used to it today. If you guys aren't subscribed, you need to subscribe to the Daily Ralpha. But there's a section when you talk about traditional businesses, Web 2 based products and services. That's what we want to connect with. And so when you give up Creative Commons license, you're really edging the line of potential failure, not going to FUD you. And when I think about On-Chain Monkey, they were smart. They communicate with their community in real time. They've got their battle cry. They've got their stuff together. Hence why you see the stuff behind me. Now, you will see other communities behind me, but I have to be so certain that you're going to last the long run, because it'll be like, hey, Craig, I saw that episode. And by the way, that thing that you had in back of you, what happened? And I'll be like, I don't know. Matt, let me ask you, what do you think about Creative Commons licenses?
Oh, honestly, I think it's funny what you're saying about the on-chain. I have a few of the NFTs, and our NFT projects are no longer here with us anymore. And I thought about maybe I should take that YouTube video down, but oh well.
Yeah.
I mean, we all make mistakes, right?
You know what? Behind the scenes, I've actually stayed friendly with a number of the communities that are no longer around. Some of them have moved on, whether they were mods in Discord, and we still stay connected and build a relationship because they're still in the space. But unfortunately, if all of the founder and the creators are doing is pumping their own bags without helping the community to grow and strategize over time, you're kind of missing the overall arching ethos of the whole idea. That's part of the Web3 ethos, as we say, is that you want to build value. I mean, that's one of the things with On-Chain Monkeys. They're doing good in the world and they're doing great for their holders. And that to me means that you get it. One of the things that I want to dive into right now is about the Odyssey program to build new membership system on the Polygon platform in combination with the NFTs and creator user interaction versions can participate to earn, right? So users will have the ability, a variety of activities called journeys, such as games, online visits, and also going directly to Starbucks to test their coffee knowledge. I'm really excited about this. As much FUD as I get from my wife on what is this whole Web3 thing, she probably has more stamps, which i.e. are NFTs, in her wallet right now, and she doesn't even know it. The really exciting news, and the world gets even smaller. I'm going to give the hand signal to Tony. Hold on a second. Hold on, Tony. Hold on. Here we go. I'm going to be talking to this gentleman who brought on, we're going to be talking this week on Friday, and he's going to be coming on to a podcast at some point in the near future. He was the gentleman from the DGen Network who brought Starbucks to the very forefront and bringing them into Web3. And I was actually introduced by his partner, NFT Bark. So big shout out to them. And Coffee with Captain is probably one of my favorite spaces to listen to in the morning.
Two solid dudes.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And I want to hear his story last night. He was on a spaces because I was hopping between your spaces and I was hopping between theirs to try to grab some information in prep for today's conversation. So big shout out to them, and to bring Starbucks into Web3 just has me excited. It gets me on a caffeine rush.
Well, I'm curious to see how. I don't personally drink a lot of coffee, but I know a lot of people who do, and they love the current setup with the reward system. So I'm curious to see, almost if it's don't broke, don't fix it. But I want to see how this works out. I might end up drinking more Starbucks if this comes to fruition. We'll see. But I do love coffee, and I make it at home for the most part just because I'm on the go. And Starbucks, I do like their latte. I have to say. All right. So according to the Howey test, and this was an NFTGo report, should belong to a financial class of assets. So NFTs should belong to a financial class of assets. and should therefore be included in the scope of regulation. Oh, we didn't see that one coming, did we? With diversification of NFT distribution, including the maturation of generative art and generative AI, the definition of what constitutes an NFT has broadened completely, and we need to keep aware of that. NFTs are no longer limited to digital collections or just JPEG images. They represent a consensus of value based on their community, social currency, if we don't know that already. The regulatory focus should be on the transparency and trustworthiness of the assets and rating guidelines. For assets should be issued, right? And some NFTs are highly decentralized projects and users needing to pay attention to on-chain data and code reviews to educate themselves on what's coming next. Some existing centralized projects in the market should also be regulated as well, with appropriate guidelines to prevent manipulation and other unscrupulous behaviors. I don't know that you're going to prevent unscrupulous behaviors, but you can try it, government, and let's see what happens. In the general, we need to strike a balance. I like that they're saying this, between regulation and liberalization of NFTs. So here's my take, and then Ralph, maybe Ralph might have popped off.
Yes, Ralph popped off.
I love you, Ralph. So my take on it is, we know that regulations are coming, and the word Howey test gets thrown around. What is considered a digital, what's considered an asset, right? And a digital asset is considered an asset nonetheless. But will some projects be able to scurry around that, right? At the end of the year, we're coming up on April. You go to your accountant. You're looking for every tax benefit that you possibly can. I know I am, without breaking the law. So when the laws come in, stay on top of it. And I would highly recommend, and in a second, Tony, we will do a screen share, and I will let you know if you can actually queue that up. NFTGo has a very comprehensive report. You could actually probably put your phone up to it, and you can grab that from the QR code. Tony, if you can put that up for us, that would be fantastic. But this report is so comprehensive. And as I said at the beginning of the podcast, one of the alpha ways is going to be today in the way of learning and strategizing. I think I figured out a couple ideas for us that don't have $1.2 million worth of digital NFT assets on the Ethereum blockchain. That's what it is to be considered a whale. But I would highly recommend that you go and click on that QR code. So we're going to keep it going. But before we do, Matt, what's your opinion on the Howey test as it applies to digital assets, i.e. NFTs?
Well, actually, I want to bring it to the NFTGo, because I know we do have Web3 dedicated in the Twitter spaces, and they do have a time restraint. Perfect. So I do want to make sure we get them on. I know you're talking about the NFTGo report. We gave your take. I want to hear their take, because I know that
Perfect.
He also...
Can we get them up, Tony?
Oh, I think they already are on the Twitter spaces.
Beautiful.
Are you there, Web3 dedicated?
Hey, guys. Good afternoon. Are you able to hear me?
Yes,
GM.
So I know that you
excellent. Yeah, NFTGo.
Yeah, I know you use
ahead.
it for your discourse. I want to get the expert take from you, because everyone has their speculation, but you're there, like in the nitty gritty. So I want to hear all about it.
Yeah, so to give everyone a little bit of background, Dedicated Team's actually a launchpad service, and we've been around for a couple years. And we started creating custom bots and whatnot. And one of the bots that I seen that was just one of the ones that were out there was NFTGo, and it is absolutely amazing. We ended up creating an NFT aggregator through a whole bunch of bots that were free, paid, licensed. We took a whole bunch of different bots and we created an NFT aggregator, and one of those actually included NFTGo, and their product is phenomenal, especially when you start getting into that report and things of that nature. I mean, there's a lot of really good details that they actually capture within that report.
I love that. And by the way, we'll connect offline, because I want to learn a little bit more from the technical side. I'm always been focused on the fundamentals. So I'm kind of pushing my boundaries. I'm known for great conversations in Web3, and that's sort of like my comfortable wheelhouse. And so today it's fun to be a little uncomfortable, but I read through the report, and I think you bring up a lot of really good points. When you look, tell me just really quick before we have you hop off, and I appreciate your time. When you look at bots and how that develops the space, how does your bot or in your platform correspond with Web3 users?
So, everyone always says, do your own research, right? And with the space being in infancy, you can't just go and just pull a Google search. So I kind of got to thinking, everyone just usually looks at the Twitter, they look at the Discord, they'll look at the roadmap, and then they take a gamble based off of that. So I took all of these different bots and combined them into one area. I actually have over 100 bots running in the Discord that's scraping social medias, it's scraping marketplaces such as Blur, OpenSea, Dune, even for analytics. And it allows people to actually do more research on what the activity is on social media and in the blockchain, or even on the marketplaces. So that way they can make better decisions based off of what might fit their portfolio. And that, I feel like, is something that the space is really needed, is people to have the ability to do their research and not just FOMO in maybe too late and then they take a loss and things like that. So that's one of the gaps that I had kind of seen as we were launching all these projects for creators, is there wasn't really anything for the investor side. So that's kind of the gap that we're trying to kind of close a little bit.
Damn, I love that. And by the way, and then Matt, if you can make sure that people go and follow your page, we'll engage offline. I want to learn a little bit more about that. But you just
really quickly though, before they do hop off, I want to hear about this Moonbase pass. I see you on your Twitter space. I know, or on your Twitter dedicated, because I know that's one way that people can get involved in these bots and actually take advantage of them, right?
Yeah, so we were like, when you think of icy tools and things like that, they charge $65 a month, and then you have to go into their web interface. You need to configure everything manually, and a lot of times these investors don't really know what they're looking for initially, so they don't know what to track. So what I did was I created the Moonbase. It's free beta access for anybody that wants to come in and take a look around, use it. I do AMAs just to allow people to have that one-on-one or even in small groups to talk to me on where my mindset was when I had built this out. By day, I work for the government. I'm a cybersecurity engineer, and I trend vulnerability data. So I took that same aspect, and I was like, you know what? What if I took that same methodology, right, and I just turned it into trending NFT data? And that's really kind of the approach that I took when creating this database. And a big part of it, like I said, was NFTGo. Like, they had a really good product. So we actually included that within the database, because it's just, you can't have too much information for the investor. In my opinion, more information is better than not enough. So we created the Moonbase. It has a free beta access right now. If people want to come in and join the Discord and take a look around, feel free to ping me. It's just something that we feel like that would really help the investors on it. We have a tentative mint date of March 3rd. We may push that back just because we came up with a few more ideas that we would like to include within the smart contract. So we may push back the mint date just to do some testing, include some of those new ideas that the community had brought to us, and then kind of proceed from there.
I'm glad you came in today to share what you're doing. I'm definitely going to connect with you offline and see if we can bring you on to talk more about this in the future. The idea that people have paid for their education and that you have kind of Twitterized investment strategy on the go allows people to be more informed. And with more information, you have the power to make better decisions. Now I want to hop into our next topic. Thanks again for coming up. Next topic is Polygon NFT traders had doubled over the past year from 700,000 to 1.5 million, according to Polyscan. And I'll tell you why I'm bringing this up, because it was mentioned a bunch of times in NFTGo. Now, do your own research, but Polygon as a crypto has me very excited for a few reasons. One, it might be underrated. I believe that it is. Two, I think it's going to be a way. Now, Starbucks Odyssey program, they're going to be on Polygon. I believe I'm correct on that, and I'll get corrected if I'm wrong, but I believe I'm right on that. Now, let me throw this out to you. Polygon unique addresses recently crossed 200 million mark, hitting a record high on December 31st of this past year. Polygon transaction speeds and low fees are ideal for Web 2 users trying to get started with NFTs. How many people didn't enter into the space because to do a transaction on Ethereum, by the way, an NFTGo report said Ethereum is still going to reign supreme. Nothing's going to change that. But we want to onboard more people. The way I see it, we're on the Web3 highway. We want more on-ramps. More on-ramps mean more people are involved. More people involved
involved, the more opportunity to make more money, the more opportunity to grow, to not just grow, but to create communities and credibility in this space of digital assets and cryptocurrency. NFTGo report gave that 82,000 addresses were involved in wash trading. Now, we're going to talk about that in a second, but my recap on Polygon is very simple. You want to possibly look at maybe thinking about, right? I do a couple of those, of possibly thinking about getting Polygon, the crypto. I might recommend it. And also learning about Starbucks and how their relationship is going to continue to form with Polygon, because a lot of great projects are going to be launched, such as Utes going layer 2 with Polygon, and then the DGods project going over to Ethereum. What are your thoughts?
There's a lot of really big brands going to Polygon. Just talking about Polygon, like you said, I think the Web 2 to Web 3 integration, getting rid of the gas fees is definitely the way to do it.
I agree. All right. So next part is 82,000 addresses were involved in wash trading. You might have heard about it before. I'm going to tell you a little bit more of what it is, maybe give a quick example. The number of wash trades across all blockchains reached more than $250,000. So NFT wash trading aims to give market participants a misleading picture of an asset's value or liquidity. In doing so, an NFT will be sold at a higher price to a new wallet, which is also controlled, can you guess, by the same owner of that wallet. So it's literally like you're giving it back to yourself. Now, we've seen this with other big projects in the space. Actually, I've decided I'm not going to mention it because there were a couple of specific examples, and I'm not about attacking communities, but it's done throughout to push potential or manipulate floor prices. So again, as the gentleman who just came on before, right, if you go back and you listen, and I know you're going to repost it, the idea that there are bots out there that can do some level of research to get through that, the people that are coming on now, any education that you've paid, we call it the tuition, that any lessons that you've learned and you're tuning in, share that with others. We want to help people to learn, because some of those people that were in this space got completely washed out. They're not going to come back until it's too late. You're still here. That means that you're lucky. That means that either you have a little liquidity or you have a lot, and you're putting it to work, and you're investing in Web3 based businesses that are going to attract traditional products and services. And we need to be thinking about that at all times, at every corner. So my take is simple. Market manipulation is going to happen, and wash trading is one way to manipulate the space. Anything to add to that, Matt?
I mean, just honestly, just recently with all the news with the SEC, shutting down Kraken's the staking program in the US, $30 million fine. The big reason they did that, they were saying, is because the Kraken's promises were untethered to any economic realities, gave zero insight into, among other things, its financial condition, and whether even if they had the means of paying market returns in the first place. So it seems like there's a lot of uncertainty, speculation in NFTs in general. I'm curious to see, when it comes to wash trading and all these different things, to see how the SEC and just how the regulations get involved. That's a good thing or a bad thing for the crypto market as a whole. I know in order to go mainstream, we kind of need it. At the same time, it kind of defeats the purpose of crypto's original concept.
The idea of being decentralized versus centralized. Yeah. I think that's a very fine line, just like, as I say, between a scam and a hack. We've seen in some interesting stories this past year. We have, and lessons to be learned. And it's not hard to make a mistake. I want to be clear on that. In 2023, generative art, according to NFTGo, is anticipated to develop into its own thriving sector. So here is a first mover's possible play based out of the NFTGo book. If there's anything else, for the maturity of OpenAI and ChatGPT, the arrival of derivatives and collections inspired by original artists, the new and emerging technology. So if there's a collection that's being launched and those are the keywords, pay attention, do your reading, go on the website, listen to what people are saying in Twitter Spaces. You don't have to be the first person in the door. Don't be the last. The last person will end up holding the bags. And I say one whale play, and we'll get to that in a little bit, is they bought 3. They would always buy 3 of things. I'd always buy 2. Now I'm buying 3. There's a reason for it. It's a methodology. I don't know the complete answer of that. But when I think about something aside from the biggest exciting plays in 2023, the fact that ChatGPT and OpenAI's, any art that's derived from there, and an artist who can market themselves, such as Nyam Balloon, Chris, right, such as Dario Di Siena, if they can play with that outside of just the burning mechanisms, stuff gets really, really exciting. All right, so utility NFTs are the most liquid among all categories. And when I think of utility, I think of, in part, can be access to something. It can be a product
or based service in Web 2. And or it can also be in the way of offering a token back, such as like when you have the ApeCoin and within Yuga Labs, there's a utility. There's many different utilities, but understand clearly what those utilities are, because that is the most liquid category. And you can go into OpenSea, you can also go into Blur, and you can actually search by type of digital asset, art-based digital assets, past-based digital assets. It's very easy and specific to do that. And when you do, go into Twitter. If you're not in Discord, hop in there. I go into Discord every once in a while. I still don't love it. It's too busy for my head, and my head's busy enough. Just my thought on that. Any takes on utility?
Yeah, well, just utility and also the art, the open AI. I personally, when I'm buying NFTs, is more so for the utility than the art. Like, I don't care if an artist made it or if, you know, an artist created using AI. Like, I don't really care how it's made. Just like, you know, when it comes to content creation, like, you know, if someone's making great content using AI, good for them. And, you know, as a content creator, it's my job then to be creative, which AI cannot do, and try to beat that, and or use, you know, your creative creative outlook, you know, to make something different. But yeah, utility to me is super important. I think that I need more than just the art to you know, to provide real utility. And I think that, you know, now with the Blur, you know, all these the traits seem to not matter as much. People care more about like what their brand, you know, what the actual look of it looks like, as opposed to like, you know, oh, this trait is 2% as opposed to 1% or whatever. So I'm really curious to see what like 2023 brings for art and NFT space.
Yeah, and the whales had a couple really cool strategies, which we'll dive in when you just spoke
you said
about
the rule of three, though, where you hold one, you flip one, and then you use one as kind of like a swing trade. Almost.
That's what I understood it to be. That's what and I'm really excited to connect with NFTGo and be on in one of their spaces. And they wanted we wanted to try to connect on tonight. But again, I believe a little bit of family time. Tony, that is a beautiful beard you have on the background. I want to do a quick screen share if I can, my good friend. Thank you. I want to give a quick shout out to a fellow JPEG Morgan family member. His name is Farouk. He has Rug Radio. At a distance, I've never directly connected with him, but the amount of respect for the platform that he is building and what he is doing in his ecosystem and the successful launch of his community, much props to you. I just love what he's doing. And then the artist, Corey Van Loo, the collection that they just dropped a few weeks ago. Big shout out. If you're not following and engaging with him, please do. Part of the JPEG Morgan family. And I'm super honored to be part of that community. All right, we can come off the screen share, Tony. Thank you. So, you know, one of the things that I do want to go back to, right, is I want to talk about how the crypto market fell, and in tandem, how did the NFT category respond? And this is directly from NFTGo. When the crypto market fell by 20% in June, the floor prices of various NFT categories also plummeted by 15%. Now, here was some interesting thing on that. Most blue chip NFTs saw floor prices recover a week after, and some institutions were continuously buying in at low prices, such as Bored Ape Yacht and the Crypto Punks. Those always seem to go in tandem. Those communities aren't going anywhere. So when I think about a digital asset such as like gold, physical gold or silver, those would be the two communities. My other bets, obviously, you see behind me. I believe this is going to be huge, huge, huge. But everybody's got to make the risk assessment. You've got to really plug in. You've got to ask other people how they're moving. Me personally, I'm really excited. And by the way, a big shout out to my Multiverse X family, X First, a great community that was launched. They launched about 3 or 4 months ago. So really excited. At some point, I'll either have Easton Gladney or Matt Swayze on. Big shout out. They're part of my family. So really interesting to see that the blue chips popped right back up. People saw it as a buying frenzy and they took advantage. What are your thoughts on that, Matt?
Well, I mean, the crypto market dropped. NFTs, derivatives of crypto, also dropped with it. And then, well, like you said, the blue chips recovered a little bit more than the, you know, the more speculative trades would be, which makes sense. You know, like when the stock market crashes, you'll see Amazon and the blue chips recover before, you know, your penny stocks and all that kind of stuff do. So this is very similar to the stock market, crypto market, and NFT market. It's all emotions, and people trade trade assets with the emotions. It's all the same way. So it's different names for all of them.
No, I love that. And I agree with you completely. And I'm going to throw a couple more stats at you from NFTGo. We got a lot more to go, but the market clearly demonstrates a long-tailed distribution, seeing that only 2% of projects are worth more than 10,000 ETH currently, and they collectively make up most of the market cap. So the very few at the very top. So if you're going to play the long plays, you've got to look at communities that are doing incredible things in this space. Only 4% of those projects have over 10,000 ETH in traded volume. So really interesting to find that how these stats are working. Matt, you know it, my friend. I see you in on the YouTube spaces. What we're going to also talk about is assets per capita. But before we do that, and Renee, who's behind the scenes, getting some great coverage for us, which is awesome. There we go. I want to do a quick screen share if I can, Tony. We're working on the finger movement. Don't worry, Tony. We're going to have that at some point soon. This is my link tree. It's up on YouTube. Guys, go in there. We're on multiple platforms: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, obviously, Apple and Spotify, with great audio going in there. We've also got some of the Gippies. Renee, it's been a while since we've done some of those Gippies. We're going to have to bring those back. It creates some good laughter and engagement. All right. Now we're getting back to it. Thank you. I forgot the finger. We're still, by the way, if we can show that camera up on the top real quick, a studio view. Studio cam. Tony's behind. He's over there. But as we're learning, we've have our hand signal cues of screen, off screen. I wanted to kind of bring people behind the scenes a little bit. All right. Now let's talk about, in a single project, the average assets per capita, and this is according to NFTGo and their incredible research. So assets per capita, as I understood it, and I checked with Ralph. Ralph, you're in on this one with me, is the average wealth in ETH holdings per a wallet holder based on unique NFT communities. And so the two examples that I'll give at the end will be CryptoPunks, and also the original CryptoPunks, and also the Bored Ape Yacht Club. So here it is, right? In a single project, the assets per capita is $4,137, and the median is $1,416. So that means that the average person who's investing in this space of digital assets, NFTs, has $4,137. I'm kind of blown away. That's a high number for the average.
Well, there's a lot of CryptoPunks out there, a lot of Bored Ape Yacht Club holders out there. I mean, we're getting into that. There's a lot of that.
You're right. So maybe that average bolsters that number, because I would assume it's maybe $200 to $300, but we're going to get to that. So what does it mean? It means that the rich have lifted the numbers exactly to what you're saying. It's funny, resulting in the widening of that gap. It's kind of like, I'm a realtor in Connecticut. So if you have an average home price is $500,000, doesn't mean that down the street there isn't a home that's $200,000.
Right.
All right. Let's be clear on that. You're absolutely right. Further investigation suggests that the gap between the first few top users is drastic. So let's talk about these top two users and give these specific examples. CryptoPunks, who ranked number one as per capita, has $410,000 of Ethereum in their wallet of NFTs. And the Bored Ape Yacht Club in second place, that drastic difference is $250,000, with Meebits at $90,000. Think about how that just drops in concession. So for me, I feel like the projects that I'm engaging, if you love this space, you're playing some of the long horses, because to get into some of those top three, you better have some serious coin, or you better be willing to take some serious risk. And I'm conservative when it comes to my risk. I'm financially conservative. You're not going to see me, well, maybe not, because I'm in Web3.
I was about to say,
maybe not.
You're
maybe Matt
in NFTs,
said, what are
I
you thinking, Craig? and you're right. Maybe not. So the huge wealth gap allows the developers of NFT projects to design products that fit the needs of different users based on purchasing power. So CryptoPunk community is going to have some very different, powerful, and engaging utility. A story told by Dr. Crypto NFT is, when you hold a punk, the access and the relationships that you build, that social currency is powerful. And big shout out to my friend over there. We're definitely going to have him on at some point. He's got a lot going on in the space. Now, I do want to talk about another thing in the NFTGo report, which is, and the title was, does being sluggish make an NFT a safe haven asset? What are your thoughts before I get into it?
Being sluggish, as in
sluggish, meaning the sluggish, you can't pull liquidity as quickly, depending on, because most of the projects aren't a Bored Ape, aren't a CryptoPunk, aren't a Meebit, aren't an on-chain monkey.
I wouldn't call NFTs a safe haven asset, regardless of the reasoning behind it.
I don't like your attitude,
to be
Matt.
honest with you. I think it's a very speculative. I mean, you're trading. It's a derivative of crypto. Crypto in itself is also dealing with its own struggles. So not only are you, trading a derivative of something that struggles as its own, and I love trading my crypto. I have over 50 NFTs in my wallet. Got 2 of them that aren't worth $0. But I wouldn't call it a safe haven. I wouldn't even call it a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT a safe haven. I would call NFTs a great speculative investment 4 or 5 years down the line. Even then, I think that only a few of them are really going to still be here. There's going to be a lot of pets.coms. We'll see how the Chewies do, and in the 5 years from now, that are minting then when the NFT market settles down a little bit more.
Don't FOMO, JOMO.
Don't FOMO.
JOMO.
Just learn. You educate yourself
of missing out. And so it is NFTs are sluggish. Most of them are, and here's why. When there is a lack of liquidity in the NFT market, and you have a project that's not in the top 5, not even in the top 3, the ability to liquidate and get a fair market value is not there. And it brings me back to what we did was tax loss harvesting. I did it last year, and I was able to get some things. Big shout out to Don Paulo. And Don, I want you to know really quick before I dive into this, Tony's mustache is on point. I just wanted to put that out there. I love Tony. When the market fluctuates, it takes a long time waiting to complete the transactions. And second, the market fluctuates, there will be network congestion. So when a market panic and fear, people are running to get out the door. The strategy that people who have wealth is they have more liquidity, so they move the market much faster. And by the way, a whale strategy is they move in tandem. So why can't we move in tandem in a similar manner within your particular digital asset communities? And I would also throw this out to you. A lot of people have 300, 400, 500, 1,000 digital assets in their wallet. I might recommend that when you go onto OpenSea, cut down all the busyness and do it safely. Hide the digital assets that you're not engaged with. Let yourself see the on-chain monkeys, the Rotten Antisocial Club, the ENS Maxis, the X First on the Multiverse X blockchain. Hide the ones, or even on Multiverse with the Meyer app, which is a completely different blockchain. You're able to burn the stuff that you no longer believes has value. Focus on what is most important, and focus, the acronym for that is follow one course until success. Take that approach. I'm telling you, it will serve you right. I know that there's a lot of garbage in my wallet, and a lot of garbage started off with good intention.
Yes, of course, yeah.
But the problem is, when you have garbage, you got to sometimes take out the trash. And that's just the way that it is.
I'm friends with a lot of the founders still who, the projects I have are zero because they meant well. It's just they minted during a bull market. They minted when everything was hot and they thought it was going to be easy. And they realized that running a company, which NFTs are, isn't easy, and not anyone sitting in their basement can do it. And so it's not their fault for being naive. It's just they're a little naive.
I would just say, I don't want to invest on you on good intention. I want to invest on you when you have a plan, when I've gone through your white paper, when I see that there is a clear and decisive roadmap with no spelling errors. I mean, some of the very simple things. If you have spelling errors on your roadmap, I probably lost a little bit of confidence. I don't want to sound too arrogant in that, but I think that's pretty clear, right?
Well, it shows that they don't have a huge team behind them. Yeah.
Get yourself a writer. I mean, look at what Rada Antisocial Club did with lorepunk.eth. I mean, absolutely incredible. She's incredibly articulate. She gets everything down so concise. She tells a great storyline. Big shout out to Josh Young, who came on to the podcast.
But really quick, Craig, you mentioned a really good point that we teach about all the time about trading psychology is on it. Like if you have a bag, in stock trading, crypto trading, whatever it may be, sometimes honestly, it might be good just to let it go just so it's out of sight, out of mind type deal. Because a lot of times if you log into your crypto account or your wallet or your stock account, you keep seeing it and you're going to trade emotionally because you just see that I got to make it back. I got to make it back. Sometimes it might just be worth it, like you said, to hide it or just let it go.
To unplug and re-engage. And Matt, speaking about engaging, I just want to quickly get us over to it if we can. I want to show this. If you guys aren't following my good friend Meta Matt from Pennybois Trades, and now he's going to talk about what's going on in the Web 2 stock sector. He's going to give us some alpha insight and strategy. My friend, let's do it.
Yeah, right now with the Pennybois Stock Alerts, the name of the game is options trading. We just launched our 10-course intro to options trading. It's a very, I don't know, for NFT traders who like the speculative, high risk. Options trading are high risk, but they are very high reward. And the best part about it is if you know how to trade them, you can limit your risk, manage your emotions. So we just launched a 10-course series on options trading 101, part of PBU Lite, which is it's going to be a 50-class free series. We believe that basic education, when it comes to trading, should not be under a paywall. But of course, we do have our premium section as well. Yep. And if you want to join that, get the secret sauce and master classes, definitely check that out.
Let me ask you about the paid section, because I think it's really important. On average, how much does it cost a month for somebody to come in? They come in free, they check it out, they like the community, they hop in the Discord, and there's a paying part of that. How much does it cost a month?
So it's $100 a month with code CraigO. It's actually going to be 30% off. But yeah,
love it.
$100
$70. Okay, and that would be $70 a month going forward. $70 first month and $100 every month after. So let me ask you just a basic question at surface level. Someone goes in, they're paying the $100 a month, they get the $30 off for the first month. What are some returns that people are getting from some of the strategy that Austin's putting out and the incredible video content that you're creating?
I mean, as far as the number goes, it really
approximate.
Depends on how much you put in. You know, if you put in 100, you're gonna probably make less than someone puts in
$5,000. Someone puts in $5,000. What are some of the wins? Now, obviously, people have suffered losses, but I want to talk about the wins because it's the focus. You get in, you learn, you implement, you strategize, and you execute.
Yeah.
Give me an example.
Yeah. So if you put $5,000 in, if you take advantage of the education courses, then you can definitely make some good returns if you follow the alerts the correct way, which we teach. However, it's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it, and we'd be on yachts, all of us trading stocks. But it's not easy. Even with alerts, stuff happens. Catalysts happen, good or bad. And so what we do really, really emphasize on is teaching risk management, teaching trading plans, teaching people how to trade on their own, so they're not just playing follow the leader and don't know what to do when something happens, and now they're left stranded because the one shock collar they're relying on, which a lot of people do, which like I said, we try not to let that happen, isn't there or whatever it may be. So honestly, you put $5,000 in, is really up to you how much you'll make. It depends on how much time and effort you're putting into education and what your risk tolerance is and what your trade psychology is like. So it really depends on the person. We had people turn, I think it was $3,000 and 1.3 million. We had people, easily make $100,000. Because our people, our analysts, we have I think it's 90% win rate. People are making money there for sure.
90% win rate. I just want you guys to think about that. Go follow Pennybois. Go follow my co-host MetaMat Trades. Always bringing forth great information and, most importantly, delivering strong credibility, which for this podcast is important because, as we were talking about a few weeks ago, this platform here is just, I'm grateful. As I say, I'm a guest in my own house with Downtime TV, with Renee, Tony, and Mike doing such incredible work. But as I look at it is the people that inspire me, like the Faroks from Rug Radio and what they're doing in their ecosystem. We're doing and building similar things, but we also wanted to so early before the mass adoption has taken place is to respect and build genuinely in an authentic manner those relationships. Now, I want to go back to some more NFTGo related content. All right. So here's some more interesting trends according to their report. The market is most liquid from January to April. This is all about strategy. So I hope you guys are making some notes. I did hours of reading on this. I'll probably go back and grab some more in the coming weeks. It becomes less liquid in May, and it's at its absolute lowest in September. NFT projects, which top the list consistently, stay there and have a higher demand, and accessing more liquidity is less of a concern. So that's the thing with top projects. Look at how they're moving. Look at number go up, number go down, how many buyers to how many sellers on an average day. OpenSea, Blur, they all have accessible data over the past year. Blur coming out of nowhere. It is a blur, literally, with how they are entering the place as an NFT marketplace, taking tremendous market share and showing to be boss. But again, how far can I dive in when my biggest bet on Web3 and crypto is me in this space and what we're building together, and really honoring and recognizing all the content that we put before your time, whether you're in Twitter Spaces, Facebook, YouTube, you're taking out your time away. If you're not coming away from this with learning something new, then you got to find something that you're tuning into where you can grow. And that to me is probably the most important. The more volatile a project, the less chance there is for decent liquidity if you're needing to exit. So again, tax loss harvesting, that'll probably go year to year. If you see some potential loss before you fill your taxes, check with your accountant. I'm not your financial advisor, but see if you can do some still now, or maybe in preparation for next year. Grab liquidity, learn, strategize. A lot of the communities that we're having on, I'm very careful because you at some point might be influenced, not that I've advised you, but saying this is what I'm doing. And if I'm not in a community, I'll tell people that. But if you go and make a play, you're going to want to know the good, the bad, and the fudly. Shout out to you, Matt Swayze. I want to see another Matty's metrics. So let's talk a little bit about whale tracking, right? I think this is really important. So as we said before, first, to be considered a whale, you need to possess $1.25 million worth of ETH in NFT assets, not in Ethereum, in assets. That's what they've said. This accounts for 12.11% of total market share. That's a small share. So this is where the alpha juice, this is where we dive into the juice. By the way, guys, retweet this room, share this room, get people to follow CraigO's Crypto Corner. We're continuing to build, and I want to bring forth that caffeine energy. Big shout out to Starbucks. All right. In the report, they gave a few examples of whales who were cost averaging into the other deeds from Yuga Labs. The whale's overall strategy was to increase their position in the digital asset, therefore opening its exposure to the top blue chip assets in the Yuga Lab ecosystems. The whales, they move in tandem. We need to move in tandem as well. So if you're tuning into this, I want you to go back into your space today, and I want everybody to assess. I hold 5 of this digital asset. I hold 10. Good. Let's move. Are we holding? Let's hold together. How many more people can we get? We need to build in tandem. That right there is alpha insight. If we're not taking that strategy alone, we're losing. What are your thoughts, Matt, on that?
I mean, honestly, when it comes to the whales, I know, especially, they have the board at yacht clubs, or the other side. Well, they'll cost average down. What we like to do a lot of the times is we find an asset we like. We do the whale mentality, whatever it may be. We say, all right, I have X amount of money to put into this asset, and then you just cost average down. For them, they're cost averaging down with 100 Ethereum or whatever. Right. For us, it might be 1 Ethereum, but if you still have the same mentality, just less of a wallet, you can still do some really nice investing when it comes to that.
All right, so let me throw some more. Some traders will also track whale wallets, as that would be a metric to whether to buy or sell and what is happening in real time. So here's an alpha for you. Go find the whale wallets. They're not hard to find. You can literally just go into a Twitter space and you can ask. I mean, that's how I've done a lot of my learning. I'll just ask a question that literally is as simple as can be, and I'll get more answers. And then from those answers, I can then reposition what it is that I am going to do. So I'm just going to throw this out. That to me is a powerful metric. You can implement 2 things: moving in tandem and tracking whale wallets. Very simple. You track their wallets, it's going to help you to move. How long are they holding that digital asset? You can look for the buy and sell in real time. OpenSea has that data. Blur has that data. Etherscan has that data. Information is accessible. And when you lean on a community to work in tandem, you guys can work together. You get more done as a team than less. It's crazy because and I'll let you speak in a second, since I've had you on the podcast, the amount of content from different angles and views and how the content is shared has actually built value to have new followers and vice versa. Because we're working in tandem. What's up, Matt?
Well, you're talking about whale wallets and different ways to track them. For those who were listening earlier, we had the Web3 dedicated team. They're still in the Twitter spaces. They actually have, like he was saying, I think it's over 100 bots. There are whale watcher trackers there as well. So
I love that.
So they did hear the.
There you go. There's your answer. There's your answer.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, to kind of just jump back in, we have over 100 bots, and they're tracking diamond, what's considered diamond wallets. There's whale wallets. There's top minters. There's people that just mint all the time. So there's different categories that we actually broke it down into, and we sectioned those off into the Discord to make it into a searchable database.
I love that, man. We're going to connect offline. And again, that's our answer right there. This is what community is all about. We just got our answer without me even having to type it in. So guys, if you're not following that page, you need to in real time. And I know you posted that, right? In the Twitter space. Beautiful. All right. So let's go to the next, right? Whales purchasing from whales. Now, I don't know if it's applicable for us, but I'm just going to throw this out. Most notably, increasing the price on the way up. You need a lot of liquidity in order to do that. You need some money power, but they had a margin for error, more so than your typical investor playing in this game. So again, that might be out of the reach, but just to understand that tactic, right? A whale purchases at a higher price, and then the other whale purchases from that because they have liquidity. They're moving together. Wealthy moves with wealthy. We want to create a rich digital nation, such as what On-Chain Monkey is doing with the mass community and all the things that they're doing with their 2000 ETH DAO, helping other projects to grow, thrive, and survive in this crazy space of Web3. We got to work in tandem. I mean, that to me is like the biggest message home. Between locating an arbitrage on different marketplaces, along with cost averaging, whales bought a lot of liquidity when the bull market was in full force. My take on it is simple. If you move in similar to a whale, but you have patience, and that's why your focus and your dedication and time is about taking notes, asking the questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question. There's a lot that I don't know. There's a lot that you don't know. But when we learn together, we grow together and we become better together. It's that simple. I mean, that's not Web3 knowledge. That's just life knowledge, right?
Yeah.
A last part of the whales info that I want to share with you is leaving in mass. All right. So here are some other things from the NFTGo report. The general market was impacted in May and June of this year, which was of last year, as the whales withdrew in 2022, in May and June of 2022, they withdrew a tremendous amount of capital from the market. Trading capital dropped by $30 million in June to $10 million in December. Demonstrating a linear decreasing trend. Not a positive thing. But here's some interesting fact. In 2022, the whales invested $1.1 billion into the NFT marketplace. To date, they pulled out 85.5%. That capital has been withdrawn, and there's still $160 million left in PFPs. And we're going to talk about the categories in a second. We're almost at the very end, and then we're going to keep our Twitter spaces open for some engagement Q&A. Looking over at Renee, Tony.
I want to hear from Cade.
And we want to hear from Cade. Cade, don't worry, you're co-host here today. And keep that Twitter space busy, my friend. We're growing our channels together. Why? Because we work in tandem. All right, so NFTGo report lays out specific details on the whales' activities. Here are a couple of rules that you might be able to apply to your own methodology around investment in digital asset ecosystem. Make purchases in batches. 1, go for 3. If you can go for more, good for you. Purchase as soon as the price enters your range of entry. Well, like, Craig, what do I know? Well, when you go in and you've identified a project that you want to get involved in, or a community, digital asset, you have said, well, if this price went up here and now it's going down, I'm going to catch it here and I'm committed to buying it. And you put your crypto to the side to execute on that trade in real time. If you want to play like a whale, you have to act in tandem. Doesn't mean you spend whale money that you don't have. Doesn't mean that you go grab money from your credit card, or you get a business loan somehow, you convince somebody, and then you're playing in this space. That's called gambling. We don't want to do that. Purchase as soon as the price enters your price range of entry. Think about that and get prepared for that if you're going to execute on that. Buy according to margin, not timing. Think about that. Margin, price point, not I'm going to buy in May. I'm going to buy in June. I'm going to buy when I get my next check. That's average way thinking, like myself, by the way. When I say average, if we're looking to think in a whale mindset or to think wealthy, that's how they're doing it. Now, mind you, if you're check to check, then you need to just watch the space, focus, and learn, because you have content creation. You have engagement where you can build a brand, engage with a brand. You could also maybe become a mod. So you can come into this space in other ways. If you don't have money to invest, or you don't have enough money because you need to pay your bills first. This should be the 4th line of investment. That's my opinion. Not the 1st, not the 2nd, not the 3rd, the 4th. And pay yourself.
Yeah, pay yourself.
Exactly. Make the risks that you can, only afford what you can lose. Make a wet offer at or around the price of others. This will help you to cost average sooner. You'll see a lot of WETH offers. A lot of them are bot-like. We'll talk to our guy offline on this. I'd like to know some more. Maybe I want to pick his brain. But make wet offers. You never know when it will get accepted. And then you look at the margin from what the floor price is to what the wet offer is. Sometimes I've seen on average of about a 30% difference, give or take. Not saying that's exact. For the main blue chip rarities, okay, for the main blue chips, you want to go for rarity and classification. So if you're going to go into a blue chip and you're going to spend 80, 100,000 fiat, know how that community is moving. Is it a certain specific trait or a class within that trait that people are really drawn to? And if so, how long have they been talking about it? So these are some really good strategies that you guys can implement. Try to purchase on multiple platforms to spot opportunities and price difference. Identify the arbitrage. That is powerful. We'll continue to talk about that, but identify different marketplaces. And here's the beautiful thing. Marketplaces are at competition. What if at some point in one particular day, you have a certain time frame, and this could happen. I'm not saying it is now. Hey, if you come on, we're selling this particular collection and we're going to eat 5 or 10% of the cost and give it back in royalty fee. We want you on our platform and you have to sign up. Why is that not coming? People are getting very strategic. The Blur token is a prime example. So start to spot opportunities in arbitrage through multiple marketplaces. Now, I said I keep to OpenSea. I do go out to Blur every once in a while. I like people who are in the space, more techie, but I just gave you some really good alpha. I mean, did I lay out some good things?
I mean, and it's so easy. I mean, I do this all the time. I used to do this when I was trading NFTs actively all the time, where I would go to different marketplaces and let's just say I'm buying XYZ NFT, and on one marketplace, the floor price is 1.7 ETH. Yep. Another one is 1.2. You can just buy 1.2, immediately sell the floor price. And it's not like you have to walk anywhere. You're just right on your computer. It's like going to Stop and Shop, buying a Coke can for $1, walking across the street to like, you know, the 7-Eleven, selling it for $2.
We're going to finish up on the last section, but I want to just give you one more alpha in this part of the segment, which is the whales that were profitable, bought and sold in the same day. This became even more prominent in Q2 of 2022 when liquidity was leaving the market. So they bought and sold in the same day. Now, we're not going to be able to do that on other digital asset communities. And quite frankly, nor would I want to when it comes to my on-chain monkey community. If anything, I'm a hodler because I see where they're going long-term and how they're building and how cohesive their team is. And a big shout out to a lot of the other digital asset communities that are truly authentically building with not just good intention, but with a roadmap that is clear and concise, no spelling errors, and also a white paper that really lays out an incredible, detailed plan. And sometimes that can change, but it changes with the community's recognition, and they're cognizant of what's going on. Now, I want to finish on this last part, which is, what are the investment categories that whales are currently focused on? Not currently focused on, but have been, right? PFPs, that is your Web3 identity. A pass, accessing utility. That was the biggest, by far, market mover and will continue to be, is people want access. I don't care if it's IRL, product services, experiences, people want that. Art, investing in Web3 artists and the creative culture that the visual speaks to at a particular point in time. So we speak about artists and you go to museums. You are now at any price point, you have the ability, even through manifold.xyz, artists doing drops. Follow your artist. If you purchase something, follow and engage with that artist. Land. Now, as a realtor in Connecticut, location, proximity, similar fundamentals to real property, attributes of the land, certain landmarks within a particular ecosystem. Shout out to Harish Latlakar from Superworld. Also, Sebastian of Sandbox, Decentraland. We've got another good one. BYO Land. A lot of really great projects that are working and building quietly right now as the spotlight is not on them. The big metaverse play last year, we saw Land take off like a rocket ship. I can tell you, as a realtor, it is really exciting to see how digital assets are playing in the real estate eco landscape. Both you have the virtual land that is fully immersed when you call it the VR, which you put on your VR goggles and you're an augmented reality. And then you have platforms like Superworld, which are a map of over 68.4 billion unique plots of land, 10 by 10 parcels, and people are purchasing up different parts of the world. It's really cool, all the things that you can do. Last is domain names. The .com of Web3 is .ens. Now, there are other platforms like you've got .egold, .sol, and .elg, which is the Multiverse X, and a lot of things going on. By the way, we'll talk about that in a second. I'm going to come back to that.
Well, Frank Degas just got into it, into the ENS domains. I heard.
Love it.
He just made a tweet about that recently.
This represents association for your digital ID. Now, by the way, just because your digital asset is on one blockchain doesn't mean that they're not going over to others. They will, right? It's about being it's A, begins with an A. I'm forgetting agnostic.
Chain agnostic?
Chain agnostic. There we go. Is a fancy word. All right. We're almost coming to the end. So the domain name's really important, .ens. And I also want to recommend, if you haven't already, I'm going to suggest that you guys check out my good friend Stephen Miller on the Shark Tank. If you're not following him, I highly recommend that you do. And if we can, really quick, I'll tell you in just a second when I have it up. I'm just looking for my good friend, Mr. Stephen Miller. Matter of fact, you guys, you'll Google him. Don't worry about it, Tony. I know we're wrapping up at the end, and we're going to leave about 15 minutes for a Q&A. We're running a little behind, but that's okay. Q3 predictions for 2023. We might see a bull market. This is according to NFTGo, and I checked with some other notable sources that this is a very strong possibility. So right now you have the chance to learn, strategize, and implement, and be patient and hold. But the fact that a Q3 2023 bull market could happen is very, very exciting.
I wouldn't throw all your money in on the first green candle, though.
Throw all your money
on the
in,
first
buddy.
green. I know there's a lot of influence, not you, but a lot of influencers out there who are talking about that. They're, if you look at the crypto charts, today's gonna be a big day, actually, especially with Ethereum. But I would be careful with that. I know a lot of people call the bull market, and every time that one big daily green candle happens on Ethereum or Bitcoin, just be careful, all the traders out there.
By the way, we're going to have Austin on from Pennybois on the 8th of March. I'm really excited to talk to him. He's probably got some crypto suggestions, and obviously we'll talk a little bit about traditional Web 2 based stocks. All right, so keep your eyes peeled out for L2, specifically Polygon. It was mentioned several times in the report. I can't tell you, gets me excited and gets me a little bullish. Doesn't mean you go out and you spend the bag on it. This should be your fourth layer of investment. Doesn't have to be, and I'm not your financial advisor, and I'm not your accountant. I always feel like I have to say that when I'm really excited about something. Look to invest in communities that have a combination of timing and competency. Timing and competency is everything. And as we talked about it in Ralph's at the beginning of his conversation, and I forgot to ask Amanda Terry, I might just pose the question in a tweet, like, do you learn from others' mistakes? And it's not a shade throw, but if you learn from others' mistakes, does it help you to strategize what not to do? If we can learn what not to do, it's much easier to do the right things. The NFT market is where crypto market was in 2017. Think about that. The NFT market is where crypto was in 2017. The possibility of a major bull run possible in Q3. Just stay tuned, continue to learn, listen to other people. As Matt said, hey, it's the first green candle of possibly many's. But again,
anything's possible.
Anything's possible. I mean, coming from you've seen it time and time again. All right, so the last thing is the ENS domains. All right, we talked a little bit about it. Last thing which you want to talk. The problem is a 42-digit ETH address was solved by an ENS domain. It gave location to deposit and send funds by customizing your own ENS Ethereum address, and other blockchains are going to be doing that as well. I believe Ethereum is the only one you can directly implement it. I could be wrong. It might also be Solana as well, but Ethereum mine is metastaterealtor.eth. So if you want to send me some Bitcoin or Ethereum, just let me know. No problem. I'll make sure it's good. I'll go on to Etherscan. Make sure you're not scamming me.
Do you own this one? CraigO crypto.eth?
I do. I do. By the way, that was good. Big shout out to Shield Folio. I want to give a good shout out to Freddie Hernandez, who actually gifted that to me. I'm honored. Don't worry. I see Cade in the back with his sunglasses. We're going to have you on at just the very end for 2 minutes, and then we're going to go right into Twitter Spaces. Are we good, Tony? Okay, good. I always just check. You're my family here. Give another studio view when you get a chance. Year-over-year growth of ENS transactions increased by nearly 2,133%, with a massive speculation as to what .ENSs will do for the future of traditional businesses. ENSs are really exciting. I'm not telling you to go out and buy them now, but learn about the ecosystem, understand about the 3 digits, how powerful that is. To date, $2.82 million of Ethereum domains have been registered by nearly 630,000 unique wallet owners. The 3-digit .eth domains have a total of 444 holders and a current floor price of 20 Ethereum. Last thing that I do want to do real quick before we head out of there, I want to give a big shout out to my friend, Mr. Stephen Miller. I'm just looking for his page because I do want to do that as a quick screen share. Tony, there's the cue. You can cue it up. A good friend of mine in the real world, and then obviously in Web3 is Mr. Stephen Miller. He is the host of the Shark Tank. You want to learn about ENS domains and speculations, you tune in and you go follow this guy. It's not just follow, it's engage. All right, can we bring Cade's handsome face back on this page and keep it to a screen share when you get a chance?
There he is.
Hold on, where is he?
You've been patiently waiting there, Cade. How we doing?
How you doing?
Big chillin'. Loving the show.
What do you think so far about all the topics mentioned, or any of the topics mentioned?
Damn, bro, to put me on the spot like that. I mean, I got a fucking show's worth of thoughts. I have no idea.
Yeah, well, we're gonna go post show in Twitter Spaces.
Yep.
Tony, we're ready to head out. This was an honor today to cover some of, not all of, what NFTGo is doing. I am honored. I believe that. I hope that they're still in the space. What an honor to connect with them. I'm looking forward to being a guest on your spaces, and I'm going to continue to learn more and engage and strategize and implement an NFTGo. Big shout out to you, Cade. I'm so excited that you came into the spaces today. Also, Ralph Quintero with his daily weekly Ralpha update. Amanda Terry, Danny Yang from On-Chain Monkey, the Meta Good family. I'm so honored that you came on just to give me a few minutes of your time to talk about ordinals and their relevance in the space, and also what the iRise, the battle cry, is. So let's head this one off on today's. And guys, everybody who's in Twitter Spaces, stay in there. We're going to bring you up on stage. Let's do it. Thank you so much for watching CraigO's Crypto Corner, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technologies. CraigO signing off.